Shivam, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that day we were discussing product engineering department, and now these are the functions of process engineering department. So process engineer, that day I explained first two functions. First function is to determine the basic shape of the component, or to determine the basic process of the component. So what do you mean by to determine the basic shape or to determine the basic process? What do you understand? So it is very clear. Suppose if the component is the material of the component is a cast iron, then the basic process has to be casting, because uh, and the basic process also needs the quantity. Like suppose if you want to make say 1,000 pieces or 10,000 pieces, and if the material is cast iron, then the basic process will be your casting only. You are not going to manufacture those 10,000 pieces by taking a bar. First thing is that it is very difficult to get a round bar in cast. कास्ट आयन का राउंड बार थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट है मिलने को. यू गेट इट प्रोवाइडेड इट इज स्टैंडर्ड. वही अगर क्वांटिटी एक पीस है, if the quantity is one piece and if the material is MS or if the material is stainless steel, then you are not going to cast the stainless steel. You can just take a stainless steel ka round bar, and from that you can do the machining or you can do the welding, etc. Then second function of the process engineer is to determine the plan, process plan is nothing but the roadmap. Process plan is nothing but the roadmap for the entire component to be produced. And then third function of the process engineer or process engineering department is to determine and order the toolings and gauges needed to manufacture the part. Now let me tell you what is the difference between tooling and gauges. Both are different, and this is again a Viva question, and students they fail to answer. Basically, gauges means equipments or the tools which are required for inspection purpose. Gauges, they are concerned with the inspection, and tooling means it includes your jigs, your fixtures, your cutting tools, etc., etc. So tooling, it includes your, again and again I'm telling, it includes your jigs, your fixtures, that comes under tooling, and your cutting tools also comes under tooling. So tooling means cutting tools like drills, reamers, finger point tool, your inserts, your broach, these are all cutting tools that comes under the tooling. So the process engineer has to decide whether the component, very first thing is that you will ask the quantity. Then you will decide whether any jigs are required, fixtures are required. You will decide the basic process. Basic process means it is the process which is going to give the shape to the component, the rough shape to the component. Then you will decide upon the plan, what will be the process plan, then whether jigs, fixtures are required, what tools are required, and then you will order, uh, to determine an order, that is order to design, order to build, and order to buy. Means what? You will coordinate with the design department, that is tooling department, for designing these jigs, fixtures, dies, molds. We will also coordinate with tool room.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, some students are waiting outside.
Then process engineer has to coordinate. Process engineer has to coordinate with tool room to manufacture these jigs, fixtures, molds, etc. And then he has to also take the decision whether to make or to buy. Remember, this is not a decision which is taken by purchase. This decision has to taken by process engineer, and that's why the process engineer is called as the hub of the organization. He has to take the decision whether I am going to make in my that's any mold. Suppose this for this particular component a mold is required or a sand casting die is required, then whether I am going to make in my campus, in my factory, or whether I am going to buy it from outside. So that decision has to be taken by process engineer, and accordingly he has to convey to the purchase department. Then fourth function is to determine, to select and order the equipment needed to manufacture the part. What does it mean? It means, see, the role of process engineer is very crucial. Again, somebody is joining. I will wait for 1 or 2 minutes only, not more than that now. Yeah. So to determine, select and order the equipment needed means it will include your all the facilities, all the resources, lathe machine, milling machine, drilling machine, broaching machine, gear cutting machine, heat treatment, whether you need annealing furnace or tempering furnace. So all these facilities or we call as resources. Even QC room, whether you need CMM, that is coordinate measuring machine. So all these, and how many and what make. So that all has to be decided by process engineer. How many, that is lathe machine, whether we want conventional lathe or whether we want CNC lathe to manufacture this component or so many components, and which make, that is depending upon the accuracy, whether he has to go for local made or whether imported, and also considering the budget. he has to have a trade-off. So that's why again and again I'm telling process engineer's role is very crucial this way. Then to determine the need for and originate orders for all processes revisions necessary when part changes occurs. If there is any change, modifications which is done by the product engineer, then accordingly he has to change the processes. Like suppose now product engineer has said no, I am not going for MS because MS it gets corroded. Okay, I am going for stainless steel. Okay, so then moment product engineer changes to stainless steel, then there will be a difference in the process plan. So immediately the process engineer has to change. Or suppose if the product engineer he makes the changes. Now currently the component material is stainless steel, and stainless steel is very expensive. Okay, so then product engineer he will he will change it to MS. Plus he will say it should not corrode, so I must add a process called as the I must plating, electroplating, nickel plating or chrome plating. Then immediately process engineer has to change his process plan. And these change inputs are given by process engineer himself. Process engineer, because product engineer is not so experienced, so knowledgeable. Process engineer only tells him, okay, now you don't go for stainless steel. You want corrosion proof, okay, so you go for MS and do nickel plating or do chrome plating. Or if you want hard, then hard chrome plating. So these inputs are given by process engineer, and accordingly process engineer has to change the process plan. Then the biggest work is to do the follow tooling and equipment. Whether as per order, whether order has been PO has been released, whether order has been released, and when the material, when the equipment is going to come, because process engineer has to estimate the delivery plans of the material. That is the duty of process engineer. He has to coordinate with production planning and control department, PPC department. So what will be the delivery schedule? So obviously he will have to do the follow. And estimates, that is of course the most important. That is what will be the cost of the toolings, jigs, fixtures, lathe machine, furnace to manufacture the new products. So that accordingly based on this, he can prepare the quotation or proposal and can give it to the management or can give it to the customer. Then to determine part changes necessary to ease manufactures or reduces the cost. As I told that he has to constantly think of the manufacturing, how to reduce the manufacturing cost, whether whatever the product engineer he has designed, how to make it easy for manufacturing, how to reduce the cost, how to make it easy for assembly. So all these he has to determine, and accordingly he has to change the part, but he is process engineer, let me tell you, is not authorized to change the part design. He has to simply give the note, you know or input to the product engineer. These are my suggestions. You see whether it can be incorporated. Then if possible product engineer make those changes and he prepares that engineering change note. That is again another, Viva question. Who prepares engineering change note? ECN is prepared by whom? Mostly the students answer it is prepared by the process engineer. But the engineering change note is prepared by a product engineer. What are the changes that has been done in the current drawing that is mentioned in that engineering change note? Then engineering change note is accompanied with the new blueprint and it goes to the shop floor. ओल्ड प्रिंट इज कलेक्टेड ऑन दैट ठप्पा मारते हैं ऑब्सोलोट करके ऑब्सोलोट मतलब नॉट इन यूज that is what is called the exit of the current drawing or withdrawal of the current drawing and he issues the new drawing along with the engineering change note what is changed. Of course, that all the changes or revisions are already written on the new drawing. Besides, he has to also prepare the engineering change note. Then, to take part in product study groups. In many companies, there are quality control, or quality circles, which keeps on doing the improvements, that is Kaizen, etc. So he has to take part in these study groups to help product engineer and to help other departments. So process planning can be defined as systematic determination of the methods by which a product is to be manufactured. It's a systematic, it's a plan. So uh, plan which indicates what is the product to be manufactured. Then it has to be manufactured economically and competitively. Competitively, that is most important. Today is a competitor's market. There is nothing like a monopoly. Hmm. Everything everything gets copied very fast. Let me tell you, everything gets copied very fast. So you have to face the competition. Unless and until you are very innovative, then only that copying will be delayed. I use the word delayed, means still it can be copied, but it will take time. It will take time. So you have to be smarter. The design engineer, process engineer has to be smarter. You know that by the time the competitors copy our product and they launch in the market, you have to see that you already earn the profits out of your current design. And by the times the competitors copy and launch, you come with a new design. So you should be smarter than smart people. So it consists of, that is, process planning consists of devising, selecting, specifying processes, machine tools, and other equipment to convert raw material into finished and assembled products. So the process planning or process engineer describes the best process for each job, so that specific requirements are established for which machine tools and other equipments are designed and selected. So it is self-explanatory. So this diagram is very much essential when it is asked why process engineering is called as the hub of the organization. Okay. So hub or the heart. The process engineering department is the heart of the organization. So here it is. Why? Because he has to coordinate with the product engineering department for what? For part prints. Part prints is nothing but the drawing. Engineering release. Engineering release is nothing but again the blueprints along with the work order. That is when it has to be started manufacturing. Then manuals or standards. Standards means there are standards for materials. What are the different standards? You have ISI standard, that is standards which are published by Indian Standards Institution, which apex body is in New Delhi. So they have many standards for different materials. Even the components like say pressure cooker or say springs, you might have seen ISI certified. and there is a standard code written. So if you take that code and if you go through that standard, so everything will be mentioned. Pressure cooker, what should be the material, what should be the testing procedures, everything is there. Not only ISI, there are other international standards like say DIN, DIN. That is the German standard. ASTM, American Society for Testing Materials. That is USA standard. ISI हो गया, DIN हो गया, ASTM हो गया, GOST, GOST. That is a Russian standard. SAE, SAE 1640, SAE 2630. That is Society of Automotive Engineers. EN standard. EN, emergency number. EN stands for emergency number. EN1, EN2, EN3, EN8, EN9. EN8 is the most commonly used general purpose material, and it is equivalent to MS, mild steel. That's a British standard. So all these are various standards which product engineer has to make it available. Even the equivalent standard, that is conversion from one standard to another standard, that also product engineer has to produce. Like suppose you have product engineer who has given SAE 8620, and if that material is not available, then product engineer has to, or he should be capable enough to tell, okay, 8620 is not there, now this is the equivalent in DIN, equivalent in ASTM, or equivalent in IS. So you can go for this material. Manuals, that is that is, the duty of product engineer. Manuals, operation manual, maintenance manual, spare parts manual, electrical manual, commissioning manual. So all these manuals, is responsibility of the product engineer. Many times in the purchase order, like suppose your client, when he gives you a purchase order, then he in the purchase order he mentions that he what kind of manuals he needs. So for preparation of this manual, process engineer has to help product engineer, because product engineer he is not uh, familiar with the operations. Like suppose if you are manufacturing of lathe machine, so product engineer he is concerned with the design, the processes, how operations, how does it operate, etc. That process engineer has to tell. Then he writes. In BHEL, Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, BHEL, there are 5 postgraduate engineers who are doing only the work of preparation of the manuals, only for writing the or preparing the manuals of whatever products or whatever projects they design and execute. It has to be documented. Documentation is a skill, my dear. It's not a joke. Writing is a skill. Documentation is a skill. The reader has to understand what is written, easily. There are 5 MTech engineers, mechanical, electrical, electronics, computer, who are only dedicated for writing down the manuals and standards. And everywhere process engineer is involved, whether it is PLC diagram bolo, electrical diagram bolo, switchgear diagram bolo, or engineering drawing bolo. Then he has to liaise with purchasing department, okay, process engineer, for specification, because sometimes uh, purchase engineers they are commercial side, like BCom and Com. Uh, Now there are, big companies, they have they are taking engineers in purchase department. Not only in purchase, they are also taking engineers in uh, HR also. That is in personal department. So again, process engineer has to help purchase department, because even if there are engineers in purchase department, they are not, so techno savvy. They are techno commercial engineers. No doubt they are engineers, but they are not as expert as process engineer. So they will always need help of process engineers. Then method and work study. There is a separate department called the industrial engineering, and industrial engineering department, they are doing this method study and time study. Work standard means time study. Method study means how to manufacture. So their process engineer's role is very crucial to help industrial engineer. Because process engineer, he is on the shop. He knows everything ins and outs of the product. Process engineer has to deal with the tool design. Okay, what should be the tools required? What should be the dies, molds? So overall idea he has to give for the die design and mold design. Whether I want single cavity or whether I want two cavity, whether I want hot runner mold, whether I want blow mold, injection mold. So all these inputs he has to give, and then he has to see whether tool designers, they are doing it properly or not. Because tool designer, he is mostly, you know, having theoretical background. You know. But whether that tool or die or mold, whether it will run in actual practice, that process engineer has to ensure. That is his responsibility. So, duty of tool design is to prepare the designs and the drawings. Then once they have prepared the design, then that goes to the tool room, tool making and trial. So there the tool is made and then trials are taken. Trials. Trials means whether the molds are working satisfactorily and they are producing the component properly or not. Whether the component which is produced by a particular mold, is it proper or not. So in these trials, process engineer is involved, and there are certain allowances which are kept in injection mold or blow mold model, which you come to know only after taking the trials, how and where the shrinkages are happening, how the dimensions are getting reduced, and then accordingly they make the changes in the tool or in the mold, and then second trial or maybe final trials is taken. Normally you should not exceed, remember, in two trials your die, your tool should be okay. Moment the number of trials exceeds, you go into loss. बार बार आप डाई खोलेंगे, मोल्ड खोलेंगे तो उसका एक्यूरेसी जाता है, बार बार आप उसके ऊपर काम करेंगे तो यू आर अगेन लूजिंग योर मनी एंड टाइम ऑल्सो. If you are working in a tool room and if you are working in a production shop, working in tool room is always, challenging. Every hour something goes wrong. Parameters keeps on changing. It's not a repetitive work. It's all changing every day, every hour. Every hour the people will come and ask you, sir, इधर टूल घुस गया, ये टूल नहीं है, ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, ये कैसा करने का, इसका प्रोग्राम नहीं है. So many things. प्रोडक्शन शॉप में, मास प्रोडक्शन में ये सब नहीं रहता है. तो टूल रूम में दे आर नॉट कंसर्न अबाउट द टाइम. They are not, because it's not a production work. Whereas mass production में they are very much concerned about the time. There is a war or the fight to save the seconds. Even if your cycle time, अगर आपका cycle time है suppose 25 seconds, and even if you are saving 2 seconds in a 25 seconds, you will be promoted or you will be honored. So then this tool goes to the manufacturing along with the method study, time study, along with all standards. Hmm. Then it is the duty of industrial engineering to determine the standard time, normal time, and everywhere this process engineer role is crucial. He is involved. So this is what you have to explain in 10 marks. Why the process engineering department is heart of an organization, or why it is called as the hub of the organization. Okay. Then these are the assignments. That is first assignment. What are the requirements of process engineer? What are the functions of product engineering department? Why process engineering is called as hub of an organization? What is ECN? ECN is nothing but engineering change note. What are its contents? Who issues it? Means ECN contains what? What is the matter? It's like a template, isn't it? Then who issues it? That is who gives it. And explain DFA, that is design for assembly, with example. Design for assembly में मतलब there are some points. I will tell you that. Points मतलब assembly should be in one direction, in one position only. You have to use snug fit parts. It should be standard components, more or less. Uh, More or less it should be same, like M10 है तो M8 और M10, ऐसा नहीं होना मांगता कि M4, M6, M8, M10, M16. So lot many nuts and bolts of various sizes. So these are the, you know, some guidelines which you have to use in design for assembly. So the scheme, syllabus, and applications. I have already discussed syllabus. I will show the syllabus. Let me show you the syllabus. Where it is, syllabus. As per the new scheme. So as per the new scheme, your production engineering course code is PC 601, and the subject name or the course name is process engineering. Earlier it was process engineering and tooling. So if you refer earlier papers, you will see it is PET, that is process engineering and tooling, but now it is PEC 601, and it is only process engineering, not processing and tooling. Okay, so these are the objectives and COs. That is, we should be able to prepare the machining sequences, एनालाइज पार्ट प्रिंट, मतलब पार्ट प्रिंट मतलब ड्राइंग आएगा तो आपको यू हैव टू डू द पोस्टमार्टम ऑफ दैट ड्राइंग. ईच एंड एवरी वर्ड you should understand on the drawing. Then only you can start with the process engineering or process plan. Each and every word, इसके ऊपर जो जो लिखा है आपको सब समझना है. That's why now you have a practical, so I will start issuing the drawings. So your first task is to read and understand the drawing properly, and then the very first question you will ask me, what is the quantity, if it is not mentioned in the drawing. Unless and until you know the quantity, you cannot prepare the process plan. And there most of the students fail in the viva also. If I show this one component and if I ask what will be the process, they start giving very vivid. Huh? Instead of looking, at the quantity. Moment, first thing is that you have to see the quantity. You have to, if it is not mentioned, you have to ask the quantity. So what is the quantity? Immediately your process plan will change. Then work holding devices, that is what jigs fixtures, tolerance chart. Then you should be able to prepare the process picture. Process picture is nothing but the SOPs and cabs on the automats. I'll show the videos also automats. And this is the revised syllabus for your scheme. So we are into module 1, that is process engineering. Then we'll go for preliminary part in analysis. So there are 6 modules. So applications, so process engineering applications. So there are many applications. In every industry there is an application, process engineering. Without process engineer, the industry will not function, whether it is mass production, batch production, or tailor-made production. So this is what he has to coordinate with all the departments: product engineering, purchase, tool design, methods, tool room, production. This is what we discussed. Then, what are the principles for the product design? That is design for manufacturing, design for assembly, and design to cost. In the short notes, in the question paper, it is simply given DFA or DTC. So you should not ask that you should not complain that it is out of syllabus. So now DFM is what? Now short note, sure short question. DFM, explain DFM. Design for manufacturing. So you have to maximize simplicity of the design, You have to maximize. Your design should be as simple as possible. Or you understand? To maximize simplicity of design. Very simple. See, your skill, see, there are 2 teachers or 3 teachers or there are 2 design engineers. One design engineer, he has produced a design very complex. It cannot be manufactured. It's of no use. And again, I'm saying it's not necessary that doctorate faculty always teach better than a MTech faculty. It's not necessary. Maybe MTech faculty can teach better than doctorate. Use of economical material. You have to maximize the use of economical material in your designs. Maximize the use of economical material. Economical matlab, the material which is cheaper. Unnecessarily don't go for stainless steel, martensite steel, titanium. Unnecessarily don't go. So if stainless steel can be replaced by MS, please go for MS with plating. Use of economical manufacturing of toolings. Your toolings, try to use standard manufacturing processes, standard methods. As I told, hospital, पेशेंट आया घुसा उसको आईसीयू में, आया जाने दो आईसीयू में, आया जाने दो आईसीयू में. Don't do like this. मतलब, see, every component can be manufactured by EDM, wire EDM, laser beam machining, any component. But then if it can be manufactured by milling, why not go for milling? Why you want to go for EDM? EDM is meant only if it is hard. Standardization, very important. Maximize the use of standard products. शाफ्ट का साइज डिजाइन किया है, don't give the shaft size as 24 point or hole size as 24.5. You have to see that you change it to 25 because 25 mm ka shaft and 25 mm ka toe links, drill bolo, reamer bolo will be available easily in the market. या बेरिंग, अगर शाफ्ट आपका 24.5 है तो इसके लिए बेरिंग है, आपको खुद बनाना पड़ेगा बेरिंग. 24.5 आईडी का बेरिंग नहीं मिलते. 25 डाया इज द स्टैंडर्ड. So that's why standardization is very very important. So design department will always have so many catalogs, you know. बहुत सारा कैटलॉग रहेगा वो डिपार्टमेंट में, बहुत सारा मैनुअल्स रहेगा, बेरिंग मैनुअल, शाफ्ट मैनुअल, सील्स मैन्युफैक्चरर. तो जब भी आपको डिज़ाइन करना है, ठीक है, वो कैटलॉग लेने का, अच्छा ये स्टैंडर्ड बेरिंग है, चलो इसको यूज़ करो, अकॉर्डिंगली आप शाफ्ट डिज़ाइन करो, अकॉर्डिंगली होल डिज़ाइन करो, ऐसा है. मैक्सिमाइज द ईज ऑफ असेंबली. असेंबली शुड बी वेरी फास्ट. असेंबली शुड बी वेरी फास्ट. ऐसा नहीं कि पहले पुराने ज़माने जैसा यू हैव टू कैरी द टूल किट ऑफ ring spanner, fixed spanner, all the sizes of Allen key spanner, then pucker, plier. No, एक screwdriver और एक pucker, that should be enough for assembly and dismantling. Ease of inspecting and testing. Again, inspection and testing should be easy. Unnecessarily, you should not advise for going non-destructive testing. And maintainability. Design should be maintainable. Whatever designs you do, it should not become आज डिजाइन किया और कल obsolete हो गया. It's of no use. It should remain in the market till you get your profit. Minimize. What are the things that you should see? What are the things that you should minimize? You should minimize use of critical process. Minimize use of critical process मतलब क्या? Critical processes means what? EDM, wire cut, laser beam machining, water jet machining, abrasive. All these processes you have to minimize wherever necessary, there only, not otherwise. You have to minimize generation of scrap, chips, waste. ये सब कम से कम होना है. Lead time, procurement lead time should be minimum. Energy consumption should be minimum. Every now you should not go for special manufacturing test and inspection. NDT करो, radiographic करो, X-ray करो, DP test ले लो. So suppose if some doctor, if he goes on, giving this test, obviously no patients will come again, and he will also tell others not to go to that particular doctor. I said. So unnecessarily you should not, or you should minimize the special manufacturing test and inspection procedure. Pollution, very very important. Pollution should be minimum. Your product should be environmental friendly. Use of proprietary items you have to minimize. Proprietary item मतलब अपने को ही बना के डालना पड़ेगा, इसको बोलते हैं proprietary item, खुद का item. Yes, if you have a monopoly product, it is difficult to copy, or it can be copied. Copy करने के लिए 2 साल लगेगा, ठीक है, तभी आप proprietary item use करो and you enjoy your monopoly and make lot of profit. लेकिन अगर आपका प्रोडक्ट ऐसा नहीं है, मोनोपोली वाला नहीं है, then you should avoid proprietary item. आपको स्टैंडर्ड आइटम यूज करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि आपने एक गियर बॉक्स डिजाइन किया, ओके, और उसमें स्टैंडर्ड बेरिंग्स नहीं है, एंड कस्टमर यूजर वांट्स टू चेंज द बेरिंग, and if he is not getting those bearings, standard bearings, then he will not again come to you. इसका सब नॉन स्टैंडर्ड आइटम्स है, मिलता नहीं है स्पेयर्स वगैरह, एवरी टाइम इसके पास ही आना मांगते हैं. Why should I buy the gearbox? There are plenty of other gearbox manufacturers, unless it is monopoly gearbox. Monopoly gearbox है तो कस्टमर को या यूजर को चॉइस ही नहीं है, आपके पास ही आना है, ऐसे है. Also, you have to minimize the use of material which is available limited. or the processes which are available limited. So that also should be minimized. And then before going for design process, I will take the attendance. Okay, I want to see now who are all available. This fellow is joining at the end always. Very smart guy. Boble, absent. Prasanna,
Present,
absent.
sir.
Present. Aniket, Yash, Renan,
Present, sir.
Shubham, Siddhant, Hasnain,
Present, sir.
Valenka, Rutika,
Present, sir.
Amog, Advait, Upkar,
Present, sir.
Advait ना उपकार साहिल विशाल ओमकार हर्ष सबन
Present, sir.
शर्मा
Present, sir.
धीरज माधव
Present, sir.
डिम्पल प्रणव
Present.
Present.
शनि डिम्पल यू आर प्रेजेंट
Yes, sir.
शनि अली प्रशील
Present, sir.
उमंग
Sir Dimple present.
Present, sir.
विवेक
Present, sir.
ऋषिकेश एहसान
Present, sir.
सलमान
Present, sir.
प्रथमेश कोनार
Present, sir.
जोएल सैमसन
Present, sir.
शेल्डन विशाल
Present, sir.
अभिषेक मुकरी ऋषिकेश नायक
Present, sir.
आशीष
Present, sir.
नीरव
Present, sir.
ऋग्वेद ध्रुव
Present, sir.
वसीम
Present, sir.
ओमकार पोल हिमांशु
Present, sir.
आदिल शेख
Present, sir.
दीपेन
Present, sir.
आकाश शिवम तेंबुलकर
Present, sir.
तेंबुलकर
Absent.
मंथन
Present, sir.
वनिश ओके so what should be the or we'll continue this next time because होएगा नहीं or I can quickly complete this because most of the things I have completed. So you just hold on for 5 minutes. Yeah, so design process should consist of initial concept. मतलब आपको concepts clear होना है design का, okay. And that concept है आपको देना है draftsman को. Then he will draw it. Analyze. You have to analyze the process. Then general design, development, testing, that should be in your mind. Detailed design also should be in your mind. all this, but you are not supposed to do this. There is a draftsman for you, so that draftsman will do either on the board or on the software. Then हार्डवेयर डेवलपमेंट मतलब क्या? प्रोटोटाइप. हाँ, प्रोटोटाइप अगर आपको डेवलप करना है तो दैट यू कैन डिजाइन. डिजाइन टू कॉस्ट, मतलब वॉट एवर डिजाइन यू डू दैट शुड बी कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव. मीन्स वॉट? बट नॉट at the price of customer needs and values. So customer जो needs है that has to be satisfied. And then you have to establish a proper price, and the price should be such that you should earn the profit also. So there has to be a trade-off between function and cost. जो आपका प्राइस है अकॉर्डिंगली यू हैव टू गिव द फंक्शन. आपको अगर लाइक इट्स लाइक अ मर्सिडीज, कॉस्ट ज़्यादा है, क्वालिटी भी अच्छा मिलेगा, ऐसा है. चाइनीज कॉस्ट कम है, क्वालिटी. सो दैट इज व्हाट इज कॉल्ड द ट्रेड ऑफ. देन इनिशियल डिजाइन, फाइनल डिजाइन, वंस इट इज then changes, and once it is everything is okay, then only you start with the production. And once it is in the production, then again you have to take the feedback. Right? And if possible you have to make the changes. Okay, we'll continue next time, because I don't think I will
Sir.
be able to complete it. Yeah,
Sir.
yeah.
एक का अटेंडेंस रह गया डिम्पल का, आपने प्रेजेंट नहीं लगा.
हाँ, क्या डिम्पल?
उसका नेट इश्यू हो रहा है, उसका आवाज नहीं आ रहा है.
8794.
ये क्या है? नंबर क्या है उसका? रोल नंबर क्या है?
8794.
794.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you. ठीक है, we'll continue next time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
सर
Yeah, बोलिए.
सर असाइनमेंट कधी सबमिट करायची आहे?
असाइनमेंट अजून वेळ आहे द्यायला.
ठीक आहे सर.
मी जेव्हा क्लासरूमवर टाकेन त्याच वेळेला तुम्ही घ्या करायला. हां,
ओके सर, थँक्यू.
हां, क्लासरूममध्ये मला इनफ नोट्स टाकेन, असाइनमेंट टाकेन, त्यावेळेला करायला लागेल.
ओके सर.
सर और के सर अभिषेक. हेलो राकेश सर.
हाँ,
हाँ नहीं,
है?
यस अभिषेक मिश्री प्रेजेंट है, उसका ये हो रहा है.
अच्छा, क्या है उसका रोल नंबर?
उसका रोल नंबर 1 मिनट
ये
सर.
मेरा 9049.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
यस सर.
Sir, I'm Siddhant, sir. Sorry, sir. My mic wasn't working. Glitch tha, sir.
Okay.
Rejoin one.
Okay. 779.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, welcome.
हो गया.